Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm installing Underglow, which you guys can do for only $20. So the first step that you guys have to do is hop onto Aliexpress or eBay and buy yourself a kit. Make sure that you get one that's long enough that's going to reach the end of your car and one that's long enough to fit underneath the side skirts, so you're not ending up with these short little LEDs underneath your car. Created a little visual diagram for you guys, laid it out on the floor, and I'm going to just briefly explain to you before we get stuck into the tutorial what's going to happen. So we're going to feed the central section of this wiring through the firewall, and we're going to run these around the car. So I'm going to show you guys what parts you're going to need too, because you will need to buy a few small things, because since it's only $20 US, it's really not going to come with that much. Some of them don't even come with the tape itself. So I'm just going to show you what I ended up buying from any electronics store. Alright, so I laid out all of the parts that you'll need to purchase from your local auto store. Obviously besides the LEDs, which you'll be purchasing online, and all of the tools that you will need for this project will be in the description below, so just check that out if you want to know what tools I've used. So we'll start with going through what I ended up purchasing. I have the LED kit, which came with its own remote. It's got a little receiver in it, which, like I said, the description, if you want this specific LED kit, it will be in the description below. So as you know, I've purchased this one online from Aliexpress, and it came with its own little remote, which you can change all of the colors, the brightness, and I think it has a few presets. So that's just that there. The next thing that you'll need is a fuse tab, which looks like this, and it has a pigtail end too, so you can crimp your wires into that. You'll also need, if you don't already have a fuse for it, which I'm actually going to use one that's existing in my fuse box, you will need to buy yourself a fuse. I got some corrugated tubing for heat in the engine bay. I bought some cable ties as well, which you'll need, and you'll also need these little clips that go underneath the car. They're adhesive on the back, so they're double-sided, and you can actually feed the cable ties through here, so you don't have to run a long tape along the whole of the LED strip. You can just use these. It's much easier to take off, less hassle. Highly recommend these. And lastly, you'll need some wires, black and red particularly, because ground and power, much easier to identify. If you need to extend the wires in your car, you will need this. If you don't, and it manages to run around the whole car perfectly, easy, no problem, you don't need this. Alright, so let's move on to the tutorial. So before we start absolutely any of the installation process, we have to test the LEDs to make sure that they work. Otherwise you'll install the whole lot and then come to realize that it was all a waste. So I'm just going to hook up an extension of a wire. If yours are long enough, here I'll show you what I mean. So if these wires are relatively short, what I do is I just make sure that they're really separated as much as possible, so we don't start a spark anywhere in the engine bay. I'm going to hook it up to the battery. So what I'll do is I will pretty much just put this guy in the power, on the power terminal, and just leave him right there. You can wrap him around if you really want to around that bolt. I'm just going to leave it like that. What I'm going to do, I don't want to touch that with the ground, and I'm just going to, should we turn on the reds? Will that, oh there we go, yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to touch that with the ground, and that with the power, and as you can see, the LEDs in the engine bay are lighting up, so they do work. So you want to find out what mounting point works for your car. For me, I'm going to mount it on the front subframe, I'm going to mount it on the chassis, just around where the chassis rail is on the sides, and on the rear, I'm not too sure yet, I haven't really checked that out, but I'm sure you'll be able to find exactly where you want it. Personally, I wouldn't mount it on any body panels, because if you want to take off the body panel, it's going to be attached to a wire, so I really highly recommend attaching it to the body of your vehicle. I've just got a microfiber towel here, and I've just got some wax and grease remover, and I'm just going to clean over the surfaces. I'm going to show you only one side of how I've installed the mounting points, and I'm sure you guys will be able to figure out the rest. Okay, so I'm just going to spray some wax and grease remover on this microfiber, get it ready, get some of my mounting clips ready to go. Okay, let's get underneath the car. Make sure it's really well cleaned, otherwise the adhesive will not stick. Alright, so I'm just going to put these little sticky things that I showed you guys in the parts list. I'm going to put these on the front of the subframe, and I'm going to put 4 of them. So I'm going to put 1 on each end, and then I'm going to put 2 in the middle. I'm gonna put, okay, so I've decided I'm gonna put 2 more where these bends go up, just so we ensure that none of them are coming undone. So now I'm going to go ahead and mount the front LED section with the wires facing towards that corner, because it needs, all the wires need to run through the firewall in this corner. So instead of running it that way, we're going to run it this way, so we've got more wire to go there. Now we're just going to get ourselves a decent sized cable tie, and we're going to feed it through those mounting little sticky things. And yeah, nothing really too complicated. Alright, let's go. Alright, so I've just bent this into a C-ish shape so it's easier for feeding through. See that? See how it kind of just bends down? How to mount one side. I was only going to show you guys how to mount the front, but I know maybe some people are a bit confused on where to mount it, so I will show you guys how to do that. So before I show you how to mount the side one or where to mount the side one, I'm going to show you guys a little bit of a trick to make sure you're getting the right length of cable as well. I'm going to feed it up from this corner here, and I'm going to run it through to the section that I'm going to feed it through the firewall, and I'm just going to cable tie it just to kind of give it a little mock up and make sure that it's all going to kind of fit properly. So yeah. Now that we're underneath one of the sides of the car, I'm just going to mount my LEDs more towards this side of the chassis. So because this part's like metal, this part just has sound deadening on it, so it's probably it's probably just gonna like fall off. So I'm gonna mount it to the metal plate, so I'm just cleaning it now. Give it a really good clean, because there's a lot of dirt that comes up underneath the car and it will make it really hard to adhere to. Some people use soap, I prefer wax and grease remover. And we're also staying away from the jacking points because this length is so mount it kind of in the center. Yeah, even on both sides. So about there. We'll mount our first one. Make sure the wires are facing towards the front of the car as well. Don't make that mistake of putting the wires towards the back, otherwise you won't have enough to go into the car. And we're just gonna stick that. I can see what's happening. I'm gonna stick that right there. Perfect, so that'll be our start point. Some cable ties. Bend them into a nice C shape again. Go straight through. It's a bit hard when you're on the floor and you don't have a hoist. Makes it really difficult, but it's okay. Nothing we haven't dealt with before. There you go. Alright. Okay. Now, just trim it and repeat. Okay, so now that the LEDs are mounted, I'm just going to quickly pop off camera and do the rear and the other side. Then I'm going to show you guys exactly how I've run my wiring underneath my car, and then we can get to what we're going to do with the wires inside the car. And yeah. After mocking up the LEDs around each side of the car, I noticed that the rear LED strip is significantly shorter. So what I'm going to have to do is pretty much already spliced into the wires, and they come out with like 4 small wires, and I'm just going to give you guys a little tutorial, a quick DIY on how to join these as well. And yeah, I've extended it quite a bit just so you guys know it's probably about 2 meters per wire, just to make sure we don't have to do this again. And if there's an overextension of the wires, I'll just like pretty much wrap them up and cable tie them up. So that's not a problem. Better to be longer than to be shorter wires. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I've got myself a soldering iron, some wire strippers, some heat shrink. I also have a blowtorch, just, well, you guys can use a heat gun or a lighter if you have one. That's just for the heat shrink. And I also have myself just some spare wiring, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I do my joints. So I've cut 4 different wires. I've cut 2 as black and 2 as red. If you have 4 different colors, it would be ideal so you don't get confused. But what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to take 2 of them. So if I can just grab some tape. I just use that one. Alright, so I'm going to take this one as the yellow green, just so we can identify the different blacks, that's all.